Molded by the creative mind of Kenny Omega and veteran wrestling game creator Zukes, AEW Fight Forever is claimed to be a modern-day reimagining of the Nintendo 64 classic WWF No Mercy. Much like No Mercy, Fight Forever at its core is a wrestling game whose focus is primarily on gameplay, with the aim being to give players a fun, action-packed experience that they can enjoy with their friends both on and offline. Given that the inspiration for the game is No Mercy, which was a very slow-paced simulation game, the action in Fight Forever comes at a much faster pace with more of an emphasis on arcade action than simulation. Because of this, Fight Forever isn't just a No Mercy clone, even though it does borrow heavily from it, as the changes make the game its own thing, or at the very least, a modern-day take on the No Mercy engine. Having spent the last week playing the gameplay itself is by far the best thing about it, and that's in part due to the huge library of moves, as each character features a unique moveset with their own handcrafted moves, along with the addition of wrestler skills, which mean each character feels unique. To give some examples, when playing against MJF, you'll see him drop down to his knees and begin pleading with you, only to then drop you with a cheap shot when you least expect it. Other notable skills include Sloth Style, which is a unique skill for Orange Cassidy, which when enabled sees him place his hands in his pockets. When using this skill, Cassidy's moveset will be updated to feature some unique moves, such as a running dropkick that's followed up by a hands-free kip-up, a headbutt, and these minimal effort kicks, which when stringed together into a combo lead to a surprise super kick. Small touches like this are a great way of personalising the characters, as it's just one of many ways that Fight Forever achieves this, with another being the difference in height and weight, as using a smaller wrestler like John Silver to take on a giant like Paul White makes for much more of a challenge than it does in other games, as players will have to really think about the moves that they use to try and overcome his size, especially on the harder difficulties. In regards to difficulty, this is one area where Fight Forever could do with some fine-tuning, as the easy and normal difficulties really don't offer up much of a challenge, while the hard difficulty and the secret elite difficulty, which you can unlock by completing Road to Elite, do offer more of a challenge, though depending on the characters that you use, there are moments where matches with elite difficulty feel like you're playing on easy, especially when your opponent's spirit meter is running on empty. So that's the general gameplay, but so far we've only really covered one-on-one matches, so what about the others? Well, that's an area where Fight Forever is somewhat lacking, as the game is pretty limited with regards to match types. To run through them, we have the choice of one-on-one matches, which when selected offer up a choice of 3 different match types. We have a normal match, that is a standard wrestling match with DQ turned on. We have the Lights Out match, which is essentially a no DQ match that allows the use of weapons, and then we have a Falls Count Anywhere match, which is the same as Lights Out, though you can pin your opponent anywhere within the arena. The highlight of the last 2 matches is definitely the weapons, as Fight Forever includes more than 40 weapons that can be grabbed at random from under the ring or from in the crowd. These weapons range from standard wrestling items like a steel chair or a kendo stick, all the way to more extreme items like the barbed wire baseball bat, propane tanks, and explosives. While all of these weapons are available, what I found odd was that I played the game for a full week before putting together this review, and in that time I didn't come across a single explosive despite repeatedly searching for one, yet when I spoke to other players they said they come across them quite frequent. The highlight of the weapons has got to be the thumbtacks, as after pulling these from under the ring, players can scatter them over the ring mat and then perform moves in them, where doing so will see them stick to the character's body. Getting back to match types, also included we have 2-on-2, which is your standard tag team match, though unlike 1-on-1 there's no additional options when selecting this, as 2-on-2 matches are limited to regular tag matches. The good news though is that the AI in tag team matches is better than it is in other games, as the AI will regularly work together as a team and utilise double team moves, as well as being quick to enter the ring to try and break up pinfalls and submissions, though they won't always be successful, as there is quite a few issues in regards to hit detection. While the tag team AI is good, it's not without its problems, as there are several moments when tagging out or breaking up a pinfall leads to the illegal player continuing to target the active member, which then causes all 4 members to kind of bunch up together as they try to target each other. There also seems to be some problems with 5 counts, as after tagging out, players can stay in the ring until the ref reaches a count of 5, at which point they'll then drop to the mat and roll out, though instead of them walking over to the ropes to do this, they'll do it wherever they're standing, which then leads to some awkward looking animations. Other match types include 3-way and 4-way matches, which are no DQ matches that allow the use of weapons. Also included, we have the Casino Battle Royale, which is AEW's over-the-top rope battle royale, which comes with the option of competing solo or as part of a team. Unlike WWE's Royal Rumble, where you're given an entrant number, the Casino Battle Royale sees you pick a random card at the beginning of the match, and that card will then determine when you enter. Even though this match is limited to 4 players in the ring at the same time, this is one of the most challenging matches to play, even though there's not a lot of options in regards to eliminations, as most players are either thrown out with an Irish whip or hold on to the ropes after going over the top, where they can then be knocked off using a strike. One feature that I really did like was the picture-in-picture feature, as once a new entrant enters the match, a little box will pop up in the corner which shows the entrance of the person entering. The most intriguing match type in Fight Forever is the exploding barbed wire death match, as this match sees the ropes wrapped up in barbed wire, with barbed wire boards then placed in the corners. The aim of the match is to throw your opponent into the ropes to deal some major damage, with a countdown timer also included that will set off a giant explosion once it reaches 0. From my experience playing the match, visually it looks like a lot of fun, though I actually found it to be very limiting, as due to the barbed wire ropes you can't use any rope moves or rebound attacks, and then in regards to top rope moves, you can't actually use the corner positions or climb the turnbuckle until you've broken the boards, so a lot of the time is restricted to regular strikes and grapples. The matches themselves are also very short due to the amount of damage done when using the ropes or following the explosion, which is probably a good thing given the match's limitations, though I don't see this being a match type that players will come back to regularly, as there's just not that much that you can do. The last of the match types is the ladder match, which despite being listed separately is actually limited to 1-on-1, which is an odd decision as there's several matches that take place in Road to Elite which feature 3- and 4-way ladder matches, so it's weird to see these restricted to 1-on-1. As for the gameplay, ladder matches are definitely one of the better match types, though there's not a lot to them, as the ladder moves are quite limited, and climbing the ladder and attempting to unhook the poker chip can be done extremely quick, as once you're at the top of the ladder, players just need to rapidly press the button shown to empty each quadrant. Along with regular match types, Fight Forever is unique in that it also offers up several Mario Party-like minigames. In total, there are 14 minigames at launch, though only 3 of these are available for selection, as players are required to complete Road to Elite to unlock more. Some of the standout minigames include Chip Drop, that sees you have to collect falling poker chips while avoiding bombs, King of the Hill, which sees you trying to knock other players off the platform, and Path Tracer, where you have to find the safe path to the goal before your opponent. While some of the games are fun and make for a nice distraction, there's also a lot of mini-games that are quite disappointing, one of which was the Where's Wally style game featuring Orange Cassidy, where you had to quickly spot him before anyone else. Try this one out for yourself and see how quickly you can find him. Did you see him? How about this one? While the mini-games do have their limitations, and some games are better than others, I do think they're a good addition, especially if you play with friends, and it's a good way to appeal to a more casual audience that otherwise wouldn't be interested, though I do find it disappointing that only 3 mini-games are unlocked at the start, as not everyone will have the time needed to play through Road to Elite to unlock more, especially when you can only unlock 1 mini-game at a time. The initial starting roster of Fight Forever contains a total of 52 stars, though only 47 of these are available to begin with, as 3 stars are hidden for you to unlock, while Cody Rhodes and Aubrey Edwards can be bought in the in-game shop. Scrolling through the list of stars that are included, all the big names are here, with the likes of Chris Jericho, Adam Cole, MJF, Sting and Bryan Danielson, and there's a good variety to the characters as you've got a good mix of character types. One area the roster does feel limited though is in regards to the tag team roster, as there's only 4 teams to begin with, as popular teams like the Guns and the Acclaim didn't make the cut, while other teams such as FTR are set for DLC. Moving on, let's talk the Creation Suite, which is by far the most disappointing part of the game, as the Creation Suite in Fight Forever is extremely limited in what you can do. For example, jumping into Create a Wrestler mode and taking a look at the face customization options, the only way to change the appearance of the character is to change the face template, of which there are only 8 choices available. Once selected, there's also no further options to customize the player's face, as Fight Forever doesn't include any sliders to adjust the shape of the head, the nose, or any other elements, meaning all creations are limited to one of these 8 faces. Making this problem worse, the game is also very limited in terms of customization parts, as each category only has a few parts available. This problem isn't just limited to the appearance options, as it's also true of the attire parts, as each of the clothing categories only contain a handful of options, most of which are padded out by the same parts repeating, albeit in different colours or with different flags. Switching over to Create an Arena, sadly the same limitations that are seen in Create a Wrestler mode are also present here, as while players can customise the ring with custom colours or preset designs, there's very little in terms of making arenas unique, as the stage options are all preset designs with no option to move or customise the parts selected. While Create an Arena and Create a Wrestler suffer from limitations, one area that I can't fault is the moveset editor, as while it doesn't feature all the move positions seen in Yuke's previous games, there is a great deal of moves included, with these including both new moves made exclusively for AEW, as well as a whole host of WWE moves, a lot of which you will recognise from Yuke's WWE titles. The only criticism that I do have in regards to movesets is the lack of categories or a move filter, as all the moves are grouped together in a single list, which makes finding a particular move quite a time-consuming process. Another area that I was pleasantly surprised with was the entrance editor, as given the short entrances that are featured in the game, I didn't expect there would be much in terms of customization, however the advanced settings offer up a lot of unique options that are exclusive to AEW. These include the ability to set specific hand gestures, which when selected will update the entrance motion to use that gesture, which may seem like a weird option, however testing it I quickly realised that this was a great way to create new motions, as for example, should you select the "Too Sweet" gesture and then apply this to a generic looking entrance of someone raising their arms, then the gesture actually turns this into an NWO entrance, which is perfect for the likes of Kevin Nash. Another unique feature is the ability to swap out entrance props, as while Chris Jericho may enter with a baseball bat by default, he's not limited to it, as players can customise the props that are used in entrances and switch them out with other props to create something new. Other entrance options include the ability to set screen effects, filters and pyro, all of which can be assigned to the face buttons or the D-pad, which you can then trigger during an entrance. Things like this are a really nice touch, and it shows that a lot of thought has gone into it. It's just weird that the same level of detail and customization isn't present in Create a Wrestler or Create an Arena. Moving on, let's talk Road to Elite, which is AEW's story mode. In Road to Elite, players can choose to play as either an AEW star or their own custom character, where they're invited to take part in the inaugural Double or Nothing show before then signing with AEW. Rather than feature one continuous story, Road to Elite is unique in that it's split into 4 segments, with each segment featuring 3 possible stories, each containing 3 weeks of TV and then ending with a pay-per-view. In between matches, players have various activities that they can perform, such as going dining to recover health, training to improve their stats, exploring the current city, or taking part in a minigame. While these options sound interesting, outside of the mini-games, which I do think are a good way to break up the action, the other options are nothing more than cutscenes, some of which are laughable at just how bad they are, as choosing to go sightseeing sees the characters placed in front of a real-world photo rather than a 3D environment, which gives off a really cheap, low-budget appearance, as though they planned to include 3D environments, but later decided to cut costs and use a photo. As for the story itself, there are some stories that are better than others, such as the Inner Circle and Dark Order storylines, though overall, the decision to feature separate story blocks over one continuous story means that there's no continuity to the mode, as one minute you're winning the Tag Team Championships with Hangman, then the following week you moved on to a completely different story and find yourself teaming up with somebody else, and as a result of that, I don't feel there's any stories that really pay off, nor is there a big ending. Given the short time it takes to complete Road to Elite, the multiple stories, and the unlockables, then I do think it's a mode that players will play through multiple times to unlock additional content, though overall I do think the mode is a letdown and that it would probably have been better with one continuous story. So that's my thoughts on AEW Fight Forever. To sum it up, I do think there's a good foundation here with the gameplay, as this is the most polished and comprehensive engine that I've seen outside of WWE, though the game itself is let down by a lack of features, a subpar story mode, and a very limited creation suite. If I was to rate it, I'd probably say it's somewhere in the middle, as it is pretty average, as the gameplay is good, and I think there's a lot of fun that you can have with friends, though it's just too limited with what there is, especially for a full-priced game. So that's my thoughts. I would love to know what you think of the game, either based on the points that I mentioned, or from your own experience playing it, so please do let me know what you made of it in the comments. Until next time though, thank you so much for watching this video, have yourself an awesome day, and I'll catch you later.